the driver. So many amateur golfers struggle to be consistent with this club. Now, there are a few reasons around this. What I'm going to share with you today is how to release the driver correctly, which is something that a lot of people get confused with. And also, they confuse it with the iron, and should it be the same, should it be different? Let me explain. So the driver, it's a longer club, it's got less loft, it's going to create more error in terms of dispersion. Tour players average about a 40-yard dispersion with the driver, and they're the best in the world. So we need to set our expectations right. And if we were going to hit the ball, let's say 200 yards, then we need to expect it to be about a 20-yard error to be a decent player. And if you can hit it 250, 25 yards, 300, 30 yards would be, above the average as we look at that kind of distance. So 10% to 12% is kind of where you should be sitting. Now, with the driver, we obviously set up to the ball differently. We set up to the ball so it's left heel, and we tee the ball up high if we can. Now, if your pattern of shot is that you hit down on the golf ball, tee it up high, you're going to sky your driver, and you're going to hate me for saying that. We need ideally to be hitting up on the ball to be successful. And the concept I'll give you for that in a second is about drop kicking it, so trying to land the club before the ball. That also helps with the release we're going to talk about today. Also, if you've watched any of my videos before, you know I quite like a setup where we set with the club back from the ball, not at the ball, because what that tends to do, it helps our alignment with the shoulders, and it also helps us feel that we're going to hit more from the inside and more up on the ball. So I would encourage that from my setup for most golfers. So shoulder width apart, ball position left heel, tee it high. Handle wants to be behind the ball at address. So with this rod I've got on the ground, I'd want the handle to be just behind that. And what I'm looking for to do, and I've got two visuals here in terms of the release. When I'm swinging the golf club with the driver, when I return that club, I'm looking for this club to return to a pretty similar position to what it started, if you started naturally and normal, not back here. So I'm looking for this club, the shaft to be back somewhere around that yellow line at impact. So if I step forward to this stick here, which is what I'd encourage you to do, I'm looking for you to pretty much get the shaft and hands to get to that line at the same time. Now, the best players in the world with an iron achieve somewhere around about 10, 11 degrees of shaft lean. With a driver, it's about 2 to 3 degrees. And part of that is because of the ball position's more forward. So if we have a 7-9 in the centre of the stance and the driver left heel, the amount of shaft lean is going to be different, just purely from ball position. Secondly, when we set up with our centre of mass further behind the ball, as we push back, our body's further back. So the shaft lean in relation to our body could well be similar to what it would be with an iron. But in relation to the ball, it's going to be very different because our body's much further back. So these are things to consider. And if we have the conceptual idea of trying to create lots of shaft lean, we have to be rotating that club and matching that and timing that 100% perfectly. And we also need to get the right flight, a lot of loft or a lot of speed, either one or the other. So we see some of the best players in the world have some shaft lean with the driver, more than that 2 or 3 degrees. But the tour average would be that kind of 2 degrees. John Rahm would have more, Rory McIlroy would have more, and they are very long hitters. And having that shaft lean does help to reduce the dynamic loft, which helps you to hit the ball further. But for the mere mortals, people like me and other golfers, we probably need to have the conceptual idea of, again, can I return this back? Can I set up the right way? Can I try and land the club behind the ball? And can I feel that the hands are leveling up more at contact? Near enough, slightly ahead, slightly behind is absolutely fine when the ball's teed up. If the ball was on the deck, we need to have some shaft lean. Otherwise, we don't make contact. We hit the ground before the ball. When the ball's teed up like it is today, I'm quite happy for you to fat drivers. That might sound ridiculously, but it's kind of the truth. So if we take our setup, shoulder width apart, left heel on the rod. For me, I'm going to set behind the golf ball. That encourages everything I'd want you to do in terms of my right side, my right arm, these positions, address. And then from that position there, I'm going to try and return the club so it lands there. Let then the feeling of the body decelerate a little bit and let the club overtake a little bit through impact. So the feeling is very much that the body is stopping and the arms are taking over through impact with the driver, more so with the mostly because the ball's teed up, but also because we're set further back. So I'm here. I'm going to swing and hit this one now. Trying to feel like I land the plane there, it skims. and I decelerate. Perfect. So if I suffer with a drive, it's more of a cutty kind of shot. That one there was a straight, tiny pull. I hit it a tiny bit in the heel, but it was a really good, solid drive, good distance for me, and split the fairway. So the feeling was purely just trying to feel almost like there's a wall here. And when I return, I'm feeling that my body doesn't go through that wall. My body's slowing down. It's fast here. It's slowing down here, and there's a bit of that overtaking. And I'm not going through that wall. The only thing that can go through that wall is my lead thigh and hip and knee. They can get to that wall, everything else stays back, and I'm here. That is the feeling. And we want to feel like we could just pick the ball off that tee pretty easily. So starting back, like I talk about in lots of my videos, and I don't want to repeat myself too much, encourages the things we want. But in terms of the release, just having these visuals here and rehearsing, okay, get the hands back to that position. And again, decelerating that body. In terms of the deceleration, is feeling that, okay, if I swung back, let this foot lift up, stamp it fast, that's the acceleration, and then recall that club. That's the deceleration feels. And we definitely want that to happen more with the driver than the iron, but we still want it with an iron. As we've talked about, the center of mass, the ball position, all those things make subconscious changes to our technique. There's lots of things that happen naturally when we start to hit a club that's longer with the ball position in a different place, and our alignments in terms of our joints are in different positions. So in order to drive the ball consistently well, let's try and return to the same kind of spot and feel like the body doesn't go through the wall, upper body. Try and feel that we stay back and almost land that plane before the ball to hit up and from the inside to hit successful drives.